if anyone wants to ask a question about anything, it could be like training schedule, it could be a mindset approach to training or competition, it could be different techniques. It could even be on like that weird choke I hit at Grapple Fest. It could be anything, you know, something that you struggle with in training against maybe a bigger guy. It could be anything. So even on the stuff we did today, if you have a particular question, we can go over that.
Tell us about the choke.
Choke?
Tell us about the choke. Yeah.
Okay. So first off, I do that choke from a lot of different positions, and I think from close guard, like I did it at the tournament, I do the least. So I hardly ever do it from bottom close guard because of the height of your head, and I'll explain that here in a second. I normally do it from bottom mount or bottom side control because it's easier to get their head at my height to where I can lock it. If his head's really low, it makes it really weird to lock my hands. I'll even do it from top close guard sometimes. Can I use you? So most of the time I do it when someone like body lock passes me. If he gets a body lock pass and he starts passing my guard and he goes to side control. So what happens is now he has double underhooks. So now all I'm going to try to do is just kind of get him up high. So I might bump him with my knee, I might pull on the underhooks, but I'm just going to wrap my arm around the back of his neck. Okay? I want to try to get my shoulder under his chin. So just like if I have my shoulder under his chin, I just press my face into the side of his face with my biceps. So I kind of trap his head there. Now I just let him go to mount. So as he goes to mount, I start to figure to hold my hands and punch my hand underneath the bottom side of his neck. Now, I do have my hand in a fist, and my hand is resting right, not in front of his neck and not off to the side. It's right in between. So it's kind of right on the side of his neck. And then now what I do is I take my own cheek. And remember I was pressing up against his cheek before I locked it? Now I press up against my fist. So now my cheek goes up against my fist, and I use that to push my hand into his neck. So I kind of use my fist in my face to push my fist into my neck. And then I take my elbow, and I take this top side elbow and I kind of pull it down to the mat. So as I kind of push my fist into his neck, I pull my elbow down, and then I can squeeze everything nice and tight to get my finish. And it's like a Ezekiel punch choke, front naked choke type thing, okay? So this is really where I hit it the most, is when I'm in a bad position. It's kind of like a last ditch effort. I'm in a really bad spot. But I did it from my close guard at the Grapple Fest, which I mentioned I don't do it as often because look, if he just drops his weight, see how low his head is? I can't really even lock my hands. It's a really weird angle. So what the situation was is he just rolled me from bottom mount. I was in top mount, he rolled me. So he landed kind of a little bit high. I brought my knees to my chest and I pulled on his armpits and got him here. So then now he was kind of in the same height as he should be, as if he was in mount. Because my knees are not at like a 90, they're a little bit past 90, they're kind of more towards my chest. So then I locked it up and then I put pressure the same way. He stood up, and what that did is he started trying to push me down, and that made my head go even lower, which made it even better for me, because the higher his head is, kind of the better it is for me to get the finish. So that's how I did that at Grapple Fest. It's a great submission. It's kind of like a tricky one. Not a lot of people see it coming. I don't think it's probably the most effective thing to do against someone all the time, because if someone sees it coming, I think they can stop it pretty easily. But it's one of those things you kind of catch when you see your opportunity. So like if I pull him, then I could kind of go straight to it and get my sub, but I wouldn't like grab him and slowly set it up, because he would just start sinking his hips back, and then now I'm not going to get it because my hands aren't in the right spot. Once I have it locked in, it's really hard for him to drop his weight back. He's bringing me with him, and I can go to finish it. So it's a fun choke to do. Yeah, it's been a blast. I don't really know where I saw it or got taught. I just kind of started doing it in the gym with lower ranked guys, letting them kind of get into the position, and I would start to play with it. And then I started hitting it on like the higher level guys in the gym. Like I even hit it like on my best training partners, and it works really well. It's a fun one to do. So I'd recommend trying it, but just don't make it like a big part of your game. Like buggy chokes, baseball bat chokes from bottom side control, this type of stuff. You don't want to make that like your A game. It's not a good idea to like let yourself get in a bad position and then go for a sub. It's one of those things that you can do if you get put in a bad position as like a means of either getting out or, you know, like last ditch effort thing. It's not something you build your game around. So kind of answer that a little bit. It's a fun one. Anyone else got a question about anything else? It could even be around the same choke.
What are like your big goals now for the future? Just focus on like ADCC, more invitationals. What are your plans for the future?
Yeah, so I think I might be able to come back and compete for Grapple Fest title next. I want to get on Polaris and hopefully win the Polaris title. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for me, but the ADCC is the biggest thing ever, right? It's super tough. I mean, the best guys in the world go there and lose first, second round. So it's really tough, and it's a big title, and I would love to win that. I've always wanted to win it since I was a kid. So ADCC is a big thing for me. I want to win that. But so trials at the end of the year, I do trials to make sure I can punch my ticket to ADCC and then try to win the ADCC. Other than that, I think one championship. I'd love to get to one championship eventually. But try to get on that card for a while. They give like the $50,000 bonus if you get like a submission or something. So that'd be nice, you know. So maybe we can get on that one day. We'll see.
Do you change much, like when it, like for different comps, like when ADCC is coming up? Do you change your training much, or no? Or game plan inside in terms of?
I'll maybe train the training style a little bit, but not much. Like if I'm fighting on EBI rules, then of course I'm going to do a lot of repetition from the back. If I'm doing ADCC, I'm probably going to do a lot of repetition from top and bottom turtle, because ADCC kind of encourages turtle position. If you get taken down, you can turtle without getting scored on. If you take someone down, they try to turtle, so it's good to know how to either get out of bottom turtle if you get taken down, or attack top turtle. So I'll change my training a little bit, but I don't like change my schedule that much. I don't really.
What is your schedule for it, I'm asking?
Excuse me?
What is your schedule?
Schedule, I train like twice, occasionally 3 times a day, but most of the time it's just twice a day. That's either 2 jiu-jitsu sessions or jiu-jitsu and a weights session. So like Monday's actually sometimes a 3 a day. Sometimes I'll do like jiu-jitsu in the morning and then weights and jiu-jitsu again. And then Tuesdays just 2 jiu-jitsu, Wednesdays just 1 jiu-jitsu and 1 weights. Thursdays 2 jiu-jitsu, and Fridays jiu-jitsu and weights. Saturday I take completely off to rest, and then Sunday I just do like weights or cardio or something like that. But it does depending on like if I'm competing soon or not. Because if I'm not competing, I'll try to train a little less jiu-jitsu, more like the either strength training room, lifting weights, or like more outside doing some cardio, just to like work other areas that I'm not going to get prepping for a jiu-jitsu match. I think there's a little higher risk for injury when you're like lifting really hard and training jiu-jitsu really hard at the same time. So when I'm coming up to a competition, I don't like to do both really hard. So when I'm not in a competition, I'll focus more on weights. Then when I'm coming up for competition, I'll focus a little bit more on jiu-jitsu, just to like eliminate the risk, or at least a little bit of the risk of getting hurt.
How do you mentally prepare before the event?
Mentally prepare. I think doing really hard stuff is a great way to build mental strength, like ice bath, long sauna sessions. What was that?
Coming to Grand Zone.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff you can do, long rounds, like salt bike sprints, just stuff that's really difficult, I think builds a lot of mental strength. I like to listen to like motivational speeches and audiobooks and stuff like that, just to encourage myself. Good thing to do in the beginning of the morning. But I think just over time, like the more you compete, the more you can kind of be confident in yourself, and you kind of know to not be as nervous, and know how to take like the mindset from training to competition that can carry over, versus sometimes people get like this mindset in training where they're just here to have fun. And they're just kind of, jiu-jitsu's so fun, jiu-jitsu's so fun. And then when they compete, they're like, I gotta take it so serious, And it's totally two opposite mindsets. And like you're not really, in training, you're not like training the way you would compete. So it's kind of balancing that out, because you don't want to be so serious in training that you're no fun to train with and you're not having fun. But you don't want to be like only having fun, because then you're not like taking it serious. So I try to like train in a way that's sustainable for competition, but take a similar approach that I would on the competition mats. Just believing in yourself, putting in all the effort, and going out there and just trying to replicate what you do on the mats out there on the competition mats. It's just kind of my mindset, my approach. And as long as I just do that, as long as I just try to emulate what I do in the training room out there, then there's really nothing else I can do, right? Like I try to get as best as I can in the training room, and then just transfer that to competition. That's kind of how I think about it going into competition. But it's different depending on what opponent you're against, where you're at. Like if you're coming off injury, like I had hurt my knee really bad after the ADCC. Almost had surgery, didn't have surgery, and then rehabilitated and stuff. And then my first match back, obviously there's a lot of like anxiety about, is my knee 100%, am I going to be 100% coming back in competition, or is the layoff going to kind of, you know, sting me a little bit? So there's going to be a little bit different mindset from each tournament, but just believing in yourself and moving forward is what I really try to focus on.
What's the toughest match you've had and why?
Toughest match. I think that maybe there's a few different types of tough matches. Like there's tough matches in like you just get mollywopped and they just destroy you, you know. But then there's tough matches like, oh, it was so even and we were going hard the whole time. That was so tough, I'm dead, you know. I fought Cade Rotolo at the East Coast Trials, which is the first trials in the USA, in the finals. I fought him in the finals. And we went all the way through the match, scoring 2-2, and then we did overtime and scored 2-2 at the end. So it was a really close match, and we were like exchanging position like crazy. He almost buggy choked me, like I almost took his back, I almost passed his guard. It was a crazy match. And I lost by decision, but it was a really tough match. One of the most fun matches I've had, but I didn't get to like say it was fun until like 10 minutes after, where I finally like could see straight, you know, because it was so exhausting. So that was probably like toughest physically, you know, that I had to go through. I felt really good. I was in really good shape. It was just like, you know, crazy match that ended up making me really tired. And it was also like my 8th match of the weekend or something, because the trials had multiple matches across the 2 days. I guess like where I couldn't do anything in a match, I fought Hulk like on a week's notice one time at the ADCC, Road to ADCC, who's #1 event, and he just like kind of crushed me with body locks, and he actually ended up like popping my rib in a body lock. He squeezed me so hard. He's just like just a tank, you know. So he was probably one of the strongest guys I've ever competed, rolled, or anything with, and I just had really no answer for it. But I wasn't really tired after the match. Like after the match, I was like, I just kind of got crushed. It really, you know, he didn't submit me, but it was a 30-minute match, and he was just like on top of me the whole time. So it was just like a really long match, and just me kind of stuck on bottom. So it was tough, but it wasn't tough in the same way that Cade totally was.
Guard passing, what's your go-to guard pass, or your most effective?
Most effective.
If something all that isn't working, what do you...
The stuff that I did today is what I've been working the most, really. All those guard passes are like really effective in my opinion. I do them a lot now. And even if you don't like hit one, it's really easy to like change into the next one or go back and do it the first one and just keep kind of comboing them together.
Is that because you prefer to stay away from the leg locks, or you just prefer them?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to stay away from leg locks in general nowadays because everyone's so good at leg locks. So I try to just make my passing in general just like anti-leg lock passing, you know. Keep my hips and legs away, passing the outside and stuff. I love body lock passing too. I love like dropping on the hips and getting the body lock. That's always been a really reliable pass for me. I started doing it like at blue belt, and I still hit it in competition, so it's a really good pass that I like to use. I think it does tie together with those passes well too. Sometimes you pass on the outside a lot, and they don't expect you just to drop down and get the waist, so it's a fun one to hit in. But yeah, the ones I did today honestly did the most like go-to passes for me lately.
How long have you been training? Did you start when you were really young?
Yeah, I started when I was 8. So in 2009, I started jiu-jitsu in a small gym in Austin, Texas. I was the 3rd student to sign up in the kids class, so it was just like me and 4 other little kids, including my brother. And we just like slowly learned from a guy that was like a brown belt. He was like a pretty decent, you know, like local guy, just opened up a gym. And we just kind of kept training, and eventually the school kind of grew. And then we kept training there, and then I found Cody Steele and Rodrigo Cabral, who are my coaches and training partners now. And me and my brother moved to that team, and now we've been there since 2015, and that's been a great transition for us. We've helped the team grow a lot, we've grown a lot in the process. But I started originally when I was 8, so I've been training for quite a while now.
Yeah. Did you compete straight away, or...?
Like a year, I think maybe a year into jiu-jitsu, maybe a little less than that, maybe like 10 months or something, but I was still white belt. When I competed. And as a kid, I think you get promoted quite a bit faster than an adult. You know, as an adult, maybe it takes you like two years to get your blue belt, a year and a half or something, maybe longer for some people, maybe less. But as a kid, like you can get your yellow belt pretty quickly because there's more ranks, you know. But I competed still with white belt. I think it's good to compete right off the bat if you have that I guess competitiveness. And you like to compete and you like to win, and you like to make yourself better, and you want to become the best version or whatever. Competing is really good for that. Competing like helps you grow as a person, helps you grow jiu-jitsu wise. Teaches you a lot about yourself and your game, and it's a kind of a cheat code to getting better, I think, for jiu-jitsu.
Have you got any other cheat codes?
And the other that one, I guess. Yeah, honestly, those types of missions are kind of cheat codes.
Yeah.
You know, people just never see them coming. You can get someone that's the best in the world and sub them in it and stuff like that. You know.
You said there about like having fun with training and also being serious. Like, so that was like obviously a mistake you made. What other mistakes have you made over your jiu-jitsu journey? What could like help us learn? Like, I'm 2.5 years in, but it might help everybody.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I'm still making mistakes. You know, the biggest mistakes I made, I think, at a younger part of my journey when competing was competing a little too often. Like I was competing like every weekend, and I developed a lot of injuries from that. It helped a lot for like building notoriety, but I got a lot of injuries, and that was an issue. Like I would be like, okay, I'm taking 2 months off competition to let my body heal, and then like a promoter would message me and be like, hey, I got someone that pulled out this weekend. You want to hop in? I'd be like, yeah, and I'd go hop in and be like, oh no, I hurt again. So that's a huge mistake that I made like over and over and over again, and sometimes still make, you know, hopping in too early when I'm hurt or something. So taking time off from competition or training when you're injured is really important. It's hard to do. So that's why it's good to have a coach to kind of enforce the rules. Like, hey, no, you need to sit out today. You need to rest. So other than injuries, like training wise, you just need to focus on improving and looking at the areas of your game that you know that are not like the strong parts of your game. Like you want to always work the strong parts of your game because you want to make those like still work throughout the course of white to black belt. You know, ideally you would get good at a pass at white belt and still use it at black belt, right? And just have like 10 different variations now. You wouldn't like change your game completely. So, but it's good to like round out the areas where you know you're actually bad at. Like right now, I know that like I could probably improve my wrestling more. The better I get at wrestling, the more matches I'll be able to win at like the new weight class because I'm trying to move up a weight class. So I know I'll be able to fight. I'll have to fight more wrestlers. So I need to improve more wrestling. I know that's an area that could become a weakness of mine because if I get taken down, that's where I'll get scored on and lose. So that's an area I know I need to get better at. So I'm trying to work on improving. So everyone can look at your game and be like, all right, I know this area is where like I'm needing to work. This is an area that's weaker of mine. Maybe it's leg locks. Maybe it's your guard. Maybe it's sweeping. You know, or escaping bad position. It could be any of that. Or even retaining the back. But knowing that, okay, now I need to work it. So like actively trying to get better in those positions. And not just like, oh yeah, I know I need to work them, but you never actually end up working. You kind of avoid them, you know.
Do you do that with your sparring? So like if you got sparring on Wednesday, you're like, right, today I'm going to try to work on just sweeps rather than just like a shotgun approach of just doing your game.
Yeah, I don't roll hard every day of the week. I spar every day of the week, but I don't like spar hard all the time. I'll spar like competition rounds like maybe twice a week. And then the other sparring sessions, I'll do like kind of light training, but then like maybe 1 session or 2 sessions out of the week, I'll make like purely creative training. Like I'll let myself get stuck in a bad spot and I'll work my way out, or like I'll purely work something that I saw on like a match the past weekend or something, or I saw on an instructional or something. So I'll take like a few days a week where I focus purely on creative training and focus on getting better. And then there's the days where I'm like, okay, I'm just hitting A game as hard as I can, you know. So it's good to kind of break it up too. You don't want to just spend too much time on one or the other. You got to kind of find the balance.
What was your opinion when Cody did the backflip into that knee bar on Polaris? What was like going through your head?
Why'd you do that?
You dogged him for 8.5 minutes, didn't you?
I know, he was winning. Yeah. I think if I remember correctly, like passed the guard and he's on top quite a bit. Yeah, he's a big entertainer. He's always about like, it doesn't matter if you win, it's how you win. Is his mindset is. He's like, our coach actually has told us this since a young age. Like, I don't know if anyone in here knows, but does anyone know who won like the 2012 lightweight world championships? No, right? But like people remember the backflip, people remember crazy takedowns, suplexes and stuff like that. It's what sticks out in the match that causes you to remember. It's not like the fact that you won, Winning helps and you're supposed to win, but it's how you win. So he takes that maybe a little bit too much to an extreme. He backflips into a knee bar, which he somehow didn't tap to, and lost the decision because he got put in the knee bar. But I was upset because I knew he was a lot better than Jed, and I know he can beat Jed, but he still got caught. And Jed's brilliant. Jed's got a great guard. Jed's really good. But I knew Cody was better than Jed at the time, and it was frustrating to see him go out that way because he did it to himself, you know? Anybody else? Any other questions? No? All good?
A quick picture and then I'll throw a clock on if you want to spar or something.
Yeah, we can spar, we can get some rounds in. Hey guys, thanks so much for coming. It's been a pleasure, it's been an honor. Thank you guys so much, appreciate it.